Good evening, welcome to Central News for Thursday the 17th of October. I'm Hilary Entwistle. In today's news, natural and organic foods will be on offer for the first time at the Natural Health Expo this weekend at the Hamilton Gardens Pavilion. The expo will feature over 70 exhibitors who will offer natural health alternatives to health and medicine treatments. This year's exhibition will also feature a new food hall, and organisers say the hall will provide natural and healthy food options for all types of foodies.
The food hall is a showcase for both international and national presenters to come and assist you to be all you can be and live a healthy life.
Epilepsy Awareness Talk About It Month is this November and marks a time where the public are better informed and made more aware about the condition and how to best support those who suffer from it. Epilepsy Waikato Charitable Trust is a grassroots organisation representing the Hamilton and Waikato region and focused on helping to raise awareness in the month of November. Epilepsy advisor from the Waikato Charitable Trust, Maria Lowe, says that improving epilepsy awareness helps in a variety of ways.
Well, hopefully our media campaign will make more people aware that we actually are here helping people with epilepsy. So the media campaign for us is very important with newspapers, radio, TV, and hopefully people will recognise, yep, we're here for them.
Now for our region's weather for Friday. Hamilton, cloudy periods with a northwesterly. Your expected high is 19 and an overnight low of 10. Tauranga, you have a sunny Friday in store for you with a westerly. Your expected high is 20 and an overnight low of 11. Just ahead, mental health awareness. Welcome to Central News on TV Central. Last week was Mental Health Awareness Week. I talked to some experts about mental health and well-being last week, and tonight is the second part of that interview. Tonight we look at the importance of connecting with your community and the 5 steps to well-being. The Sovereign Wellbeing Index showed that a lot of young New Zealanders felt quite connected through social media but didn't feel connected to their communities. Why is it important that young people do connect to a community?
I think it mirrors some of the comments that we've made earlier, that it's really important for all of us at all ages to be connected to our family, our whānau and our local community. It reduces the sense of isolation and loneliness, and that's really important for all of us as individuals, but I think particularly for young people who are very well engaged with social media and do derive a great deal of benefit from that, but we also know there are a number of negatives and difficulties with social media. So for example, the bullying and people feeling that they can't escape that and feeling almost trapped within that social media world. And while they may be able to share their feelings and thoughts and make comments about that, I think it's very important for young people to be connected to their family and whānau, to those role models that are around them, those supports that are there. So parents, aunts, uncles, grandparents, friends, other family members, and their teachers. So who do they seek support from in their community, not just from those connections that they have in the social media?
And it's important, isn't it, to realise that actually, social media plays an important part in connecting people, and often that transfers into real life situations where people have connected positively out in the community after they've been online as well.
That's right.
So I think, working in the NGO sector as well, we've seen many instances where people have connected online and then met up and gone for coffee or actually extended their interests from online into the real world as well.
I think as well, we've recognised that there are some downfalls with social media, that it does have the potential, I suppose, to isolate a young person from friends and family, but also it has generated many opportunities for people to be able to access services that perhaps they might not have been able to do previously. So for one of the things that we think about is, how does a young person access a mental health service if they are experiencing some difficulties, and that can often be through online talking therapies or through blogs and things like that. So they make those social networks in a positive way rather than having a negative experience.
There is a wellbeing game focusing on 5 areas. We've covered connect. What does take notice mean?
Well, take notice is one of those 5. The study actually comes from, or this game comes from, work that was done in the Foresight Project, which effectively is talking about how wellbeing can be enhanced by doing each of those 5. So taking notice is around the little things that you do every day. It's about taking notice of the changing seasons, looking out for each other, looking at little things that kind of are around the world every day, which is like how the rain falls, how a spider's web might be in a tree, taking time out to have some coffee and really taking note of using your senses to effectively engage with the world. So what we really like about that is that if people can start to take notice, you know, from the moment they get up in the morning, throughout the day, you actually are more present, and as a result of that, you're slowing down, and so you're engaging more with the world around you.
What is the keep learning step, and why is that so important to mental health?
Well, I think keep learning is interesting because in the past, learning has been around the traditional way of learning, you know, from a scholarly perspective. And now what the Mental Health Foundation is saying is there's all manner of ways to learn. It's about finding new experiences. If you've been in routines for so long, it's about breaking out of those and actually trying to figure out, you know, how do you learn? So do you learn best by doing things? Do you learn by reading? It's about finding little interests that you've always been passionate about. And so engaging in new ways of learning kind of really stimulates your brain and keeps you interested and focused.
Why is giving so important?
Well, giving's important because actually in the Sovereign Wellbeing Study, it showed that people who gave money actually had a higher sense of well-being, and they were improved because it was better to spend or giving money as gifts rather than spending money on yourself. Now, it's hard to believe, I know, but it's important because there's a sense of well-being that comes for the individual that gives as well as the person that receives as well.
Now, most of us have heard about the last step, which is being active. Why is exercise so important to our brains?
Well, that's a good question. Brain scientists will tell you that endorphins are released and that as a result of that, there's a more positive sense of well-being that goes throughout the body as well. But it's also about improved oxygen intake, and oxygen's important for the brain, obviously. But being out there, again, it combines all of those features. So you're taking notice of the world around you, you're getting an increased sense of well-being, you are exercising muscles that you may not have been using. And we're not talking about, you know, massive amounts of exercise, we're talking about whatever you can do.
So a gentle walk.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, it's about promoting that well-being and feeling that you've achieved something. You've done something different, you might have learned something, and you may have had an opportunity to connect with other members of the public that you might not have done if you hadn't have gone for that walk.
If you want to learn more about the 5 steps to wellbeing, you can do so on the Mental Health Foundation's website. If you are feeling like you need to talk to someone, you can phone the Depression Helpline on 0800 111 757. All calls are confidential and free. Coming up next, what to expect at the Natural Health Expo. Welcome back. The Natural Health Expo kicks off in Hamilton this weekend and will showcase a range of natural health options, seminars and events. The event has been running annually for 10 years and creates an opportunity for the public to become informed in a professional but informal setting. Expo organiser Claire Jensen caught up with Harriet to explain exactly what is natural health.
So what exactly is natural health?
The natural health field has been evolving so much over the years. It's become it's the second most developed industries next to the IT industry, so there's been a lot of changes. Natural health is a really tricky area. In past years, I would have said it's to do with, you know, natural medicines, you know, natural remedies, herbs, that kind of thing. But nowadays we have a lot of technology involved. We do a lot more diagnostic stuff. the main thing I think about natural therapies is that what we do is very non-invasive, and it works alongside with the natural healing processes that happen in our bodies all of the times. So without us knowing it, our body is rebuilding and mending and healing itself. We are self-healing entities. All that we use in natural therapies works with those processes rather than against them.
Tell us about what sorts of things will be available at the Expo.
In the Expo, as with most expos, you know, we've got a whole variety of booths and staffed by a variety of natural therapies practitioners. So you can go in there and have a chat with a herbalist. You can have your cells looked at to see how viable your cells are, what your age of your cells are. You can go and have your aura photo taken. You can consult with a naturopath. You can consult with a whole variety of different sorts of practitioners under the one roof. People that you would normally need to have an appointment with to go and see. So what it does is negates that whole appointment process and enables you to go and select the kinds of practitioners that you're interested in and ask questions. You can have conversations, you can get some health advice on the spot. Those are the sorts of things that the Natural Health Expo always presents, and it's incredibly valuable for people who are new to that area, who don't know where to start. Find out which sort of practitioners are right for you and what your journey is, what your health journey is at this time.
So where is this expo going to be and how much will it cost?
We're at the Hamilton Gardens. Hamilton Gardens is in Hamilton East. It's right on the State Highway 1, and it's in the pavilion down in the gardens. Beautiful venue, fabulous place, and it's $9 to get in, and that gives you a whole day access to the expo plus all of the seminars. And we have some amazing seminars this year, so $9, it's an absolute bargain. 15-year-olds and unders are a gold coin. It's a bargain.
What are some highlights that we can watch out for?
Our food hall this year is one of the highlights. It's a really exciting new aspect to what we present in the Natural Health Expo. I've been doing this for 17 years now. This is year number 17. And the food hall is a new one. We have a new caterer who offers not just healthy food, but you can also get a vegan meal or you can get an all raw meal. She's a woman who's dedicated to foods that really nourish at a cellular level, so really, really good quality food. And within that hall, we've also got people presenting a variety of really high quality, nourishing, deeply nourishing foods. The way to maintain our health through foods, really new and innovative, because there's so much information out there to do with food.
And why do you believe that having a Natural Health Expo is so important in today's modern medical world?
Well, I was brought up in the medical world, in the medical model. You know, went to the doctor, had our, inoculations, all that sort of thing, saw the nurse. And these days, I don't have a doctor. I have a naturopath. So it's about choices. It's about choices, and there are times when the allopathic medical model is really important, especially when there is a life-threatening condition. But having the support at the same time, so you can go down the medical journey, but at the same time having the natural healing models support our recovery and support our bodies from the kind of some of the more toxic elements of the medical treatments. So, you know, it's about having choices. It's not just about going this way or that way, but about having more than just one person on your healing team when you've got a health crisis.
What can people do if they perhaps can't attend the expo but are still interested in finding out more or interested in specific topics?
Go to our website, www.naturalhealthexpo.co.nz. All of our exhibitors are up there with how to contact them and what they're presenting at the expo, or the seminar speakers. There's a spiel about all of them and how to contact them. All of that information is up on the website, so you can go and either see them or not see them and still get that information.
The expo will be held this weekend, the 19th and 20th of October, from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Hamilton Garden Pavilion. For more information, visit naturalhealthexpo.co.nz. Coming up next, the changes to mortgage lending criteria and the effect it could have on our housing market. If you've just joined us, welcome to Central News. The Reserve Bank's changes are well and truly underway, with many speculating it has already had an effect. But how will it affect the Tauranga housing market, and how much would you need for the average house price now?
Basically what the Reserve Bank's done is made it so that the banks can only lend 10% of their new loans above 80% LVR. So what it really means is that first home buyers need a 20% deposit to buy their first home, which is pretty substantial. If you're buying a property at, say, $315,000, you need $63,000. So it's a lot of money and pretty hard for a young couple to save that. What it's really going to mean is that they're going to help get mum and dad to help, probably. There are still some other ways of doing it through the Welcome Home Loan scheme, but it's very difficult.
This was largely due to the Auckland house prices. Is it predicted to have a positive effect on Tauranga?
No, well obviously the Auckland property market was booming and some big prices being paid. We haven't had that in Tauranga. In fact, the market here has been pretty strong sales numbers wise, but very little capital growth or price increases, if any. This will certainly stall our market, and I think we've seen signs of that already. And if anything, it'll have a negative effect on prices, because obviously it becomes a supply and demand thing. So if people can't buy, people can't sell, so then there's limited buyers, so the price reduces. So it's going to make it very hard for the Tauranga market, certainly in the short term.
Some are saying that it's going to have quite a negative impact on rural areas. And Tauranga and the Western Bay have quite a lot of rural areas. Do you think this will impact us quite hard?
Not so much, because most people buying rural properties generally have a 20% deposit anyway, because they're normally higher end prices. So most people that are buying higher end property have a bigger deposit. It's more the low end, sort of the $250 to $350 price range that'll be affected the most, because those are the first home buyers that are in that range.
Will it affect rental prices?
Yes, it will, because of course what it's going to mean if you can't buy a home, you have to rent one. So you've got more people renting. Again, it comes back to supply and demand. More people wanting rental properties, less available, rent goes up. So it's just going to cause rent increases for people. So it's going to make it even harder. You need to save more for a deposit, but you've got to pay more in rent. So it's a double whammy, really. Very difficult. And
how does Tauranga compare nationally with rental prices?
Well, certainly Tauranga is a lot less than Auckland, for example, but it's still, you're sort of paying them sort of $380 to $400 now for a reasonable standard of home, which is quite expensive. So if you had to pay that in rent and trying to save a deposit on a single income family, is next to impossible. So it might create a generation of renters.
The changes will mostly affect first home buyers, as you mentioned. What would your advice be to them?
Some critical things really is join KiwiSaver as soon as they can, because that has a huge benefit going long term. So join KiwiSaver and contribute as much as they can to that. So also they can withdraw some of that after 3 years. Save as much as they can. Have very little or no external debt, like hire purchase. Don't go to Harvey Norman and buy a brand new TV and put it on hire purchase, because that's going to make it harder for you. Don't have a credit card. Don't go and spend lots of money. So just save really as much as you can. If you're in a fortunate situation, mum and dad can help, then perhaps tap them on the shoulder and see if they can help out. But get some good advice, because there is still ways of doing it with some parental assistance, that sort of thing. So just get some good advice.
How does the KiwiSaver scheme work?
Basically with KiwiSaver, obviously you contribute and your employer contributes. And after 3 years, you can withdraw your contribution and your employer's contribution as a deposit towards your first home. Now, along with that, there's also a subsidy that's involved. So for every year you've been in it, you can get a $1,000 subsidy, which is non-repayable. So if you've got a couple, for example, been in for 3 years, that's another $6,000 they could possibly get towards their first home, which is a huge benefit. And they've just made changes to that. So Taronga used to have a maximum purchase price of $300,000. Now that purchase price is $350,000. So it opens up a lot more scale. So that's why KiwiSaver is such a huge benefit, to get in early and save as much as you can.
Do you think we'll see a lot more people buying the second home rental property then?
The rental properties, it certainly gives an opportunity for the investors, because again, they've normally got good equity in their current homes or their rental portfolio. And if rents go up, as they probably will, then it gives them a bit of return on their investment. So it certainly creates the opportunity for investors to come back to the market. And because those lower priced properties won't sell to first home buyers, it creates the opportunity for them to buy them. So yeah, it's going to be an opportune time for investors, I think. And the property market itself obviously starts at the bottom. So normal traditional way is someone has a $300,000 home, they want to sell it and upgrade. They sell it to a first home buyer, then they upgrade. And people upgrade and they upgrade. If they're not selling at the bottom end, and those people can't sell, then they can't buy it and they upgrade. So the whole market stalls. So again, it's just going to create issues right through the whole market.
And that will have an effect throughout New Zealand?
Yes, indeed. I mean, this has been targeted at the Auckland market predominantly, and to a lesser degree Christchurch, which you'd call an exception really. But with Auckland, there's a lot of migrants moving in, obviously, and when they've got as much cash as they need for the deposit. So it's not going to affect them as much as it does to the regional areas like Tauranga, Rotorua, Hamilton, New Plymouth. Those sort of places are going to hit worse than the Auckland market.
What has happened to lenders' mortgage insurance?
With lenders' mortgage insurance, the banks used to be able to basically take the high LVR part of the loan and insure it with a specialist insurance company. The last insurance company with New Zealand was QBE. They've removed themselves from the New Zealand market. That's no longer available. The only type of lenders' mortgage insurance is through Housing New Zealand under the Welcome Home Loan Scheme. But again, that's got really tight rules around that.
What effect has this had on the property market?
Again, it just creates less loans available for the banks to lend out. So they've got to carry the risk themselves, which creates over 80% lending, which they can't do.
So in the long run, Tauranga will be facing a downturn?
It'll certainly stall for some time until we see how this beds in, and then the banks see how much money they can lend at above 80% space. It'll take some time.
That is the news for today. We really want you to be involved. So like us on Facebook and let us know your views. If you have news including your own video and photos, go to our website and hit upload. Thanks for joining us. I'll be back tomorrow night with more guests from in and around the regions. I'm Hilary Entwistle. Have a lovely evening.
This has been an Alpha Media production, a division of Television Media Group.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.